This podcast is not intended to provide any investment advice. The opinions expressed here by either the hosts or guests do not necessarily reflect the views of PSA, Collectors Holdings, or any of their affiliates. Any discussion of collectible values in the past or present is not a guarantee of future performance. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another week of the PSA Pod. We're back in the NBA Jam studio. Ryan Greene, Jack Archer, and Steve Sloan, and we are 2 weeks away.
From what, Ryan?
You know what? The National. It's all we can talk about in the office, so it's all we're going to talk about on the show today.
It's like all we're working on in the office. It's like,
yeah, that too.
It's like a mad lab over here getting everything finalized for the show.
It's funny, recording the podcast is a nice little escape from working on all that, just to talk about it some more. So no, we couldn't be more excited. We're going to be out in Atlantic City July 27th to the 31st. I'm pumped. I haven't been to a national in a few years. Steve, you are a national veteran. Jack, I know you were there last year when it came back.
I am so excited for the show. If you haven't been to the National, it's unlike anything that you can experience in the hobby. You can go to local shows, but it's nothing like the totality of the amount of dealers, the amount of collectors, the amount of everything surrounding you. The best way I can describe it is if you grew up in a certain era and you remember going to like Toys R Us as a kid, and you would walk into Toys R Us and you would just feel gigantic.
Yes.
Like it had everything you possibly wanted. That same exact feeling comes out of you the second you walk on the showroom floor at the National. It is really, really a special place.
You got to be organized. You got to have a hit list. You got to know where you need to be. And that actually leads to PSA because there's usually a frantic dash as the doors open to run to the PSA booth in order to get your submissions in and get in front of the line in order to submit. But this year we have some nice changes to our lineup that I think people will be excited to see, including take-home submissions. But where do we start with what PSA is offering at the show?
Well, I think it's funny. What we're offering at the show starts even before the show because we just made a pretty big announcement last week. Our July National Special, $18 a card grading is here for a limited time through the end of July. And this has been really popular with customers here just about a week in.
Yeah, the lowest price PSA has offered since March 29th, 2021. Wow. So very nice offering. So the basic special is $18 a card, DV limit of $199, 20 card minimum, and you can prepare your submission in advance of the show, package it up, and drop it off at the booth if you want to save on shipping, as an example. You can also obviously just utilize a special by creating a submission at home and mailing it in as you normally would.
That's one thing I love about the special. It's a special around the National that everyone can capitalize on. I didn't get to go to the National last year. I wasn't working here yet. I was, and I didn't go to the National, and I had the worst FOMO all week long, just seeing the stuff that was being posted on social from the show. So, if you want to get in on the action, grading cards, estimated 150-day turnaround. So if you time that out, you want to get some football cards graded right now to have back during the season, it's a great time for that. You do have to be a Collectors Club member to take part in this special, but great value proposition for our Collectors Club members. So what kind of stuff? Let's look in our own closets and boxes at home right now. What's the type of stuff you're grading at this level?
Oh, for me, it's a lot of color. Like obviously Prism's just released for both football and basketball. So I've been a madman on eBay buying as many, Jamar Chase and my guy, I'm on Ross St. Brown, buying them up to try to get in, sub $199. Those guys are relatively, Jamar isn't as affordable as St. Brown, but just, anything there with some color, some variation. For me, it's about getting prepped for the football season and having those cards in hand, before, the playoff run starts.
For me, it's also Prism, but Prism basketball. I love ripping product and I love ripping Prism basketball, especially a handful of base cards that would drop make perfect sense for this. So for me, it's like Cade Cunningham base, Scotty Barnes base, Josh Giddey base, Evan Mobley base. Pretty clean out of the product and everything feels really well centered. So bust out the card savers, got all those ready to go. And then outside of the base stuff, there was like a nice hyper insert of LaMelo, which I thought was a beautiful card. There was a prismatic, which is one of the new inserts in the set, silver of Giannis. Those are the kind of cards to me that make perfect sense for this value service level. Cards that are deserving to be in a PSA holder, that feel like you really want them in the case. You really want the grade on there. So definitely a lot of those. I'm also sending in a handful of soccer cards that I had laying around, mostly of U.S. men's national team players, a bunch of Christian Pulisic earlier stuff. So like 2016 and 2017 select. There's a set called Nobility that's really, really cool. And I have some Ronaldo cards, Messi cards, and Pulisic cards from that set. Pretty old school vintage style aesthetic, but big fan of those, and they're not very expensive. And to me, it's kind of the perfect thing to throw into a value order right now.
And we talk about timing out these orders with things coming up. Soccer is about as perfect an example as there is, right? It's mid-July right now. The World Cup is going to be going in November, December. You're timing it up nicely.
Yeah, and if there's one thing I know about myself is that my interest in soccer is relatively low until the World Cup, and then it's like I'm the biggest diehard soccer fan, and I've loved the sport every second of the year, my entire life. And I know myself that the second the World Cup is like taking over everything, I'm gonna want some Christian Pulisic and some U.S. men's national team slabs on my desk, in my collection at home, no doubt about it.
100%.
How about you, Ryan?
Football right now for me. I've got a box of, I mean, everybody hears me talk about it ad nauseum. I've got a box of like Justin Fields stuff I gathered throughout his rookie season, even when products weren't coming out, like some really low print run, Panini instant rookies from some of his key highlight moments of his rookie year. Some stuff from Donruss that I ripped back at the end of the year. Perfect time to start getting it in because, Jack, I'm like you, when I'm watching my quarterback this year, I like the idea of having those cards in hand. He has a big game. I can go, kind of thumb through them and feel pretty good about that collection.
If Justin Fields turns into like not even Tom Brady, but like Patrick Mahomes, you're not going to work here anymore.
You guys can catch me. You guys can catch me on my yacht out in Newport. That's where I'll be. But no, this is the perfect time to take advantage of this offer. And we'll say it a week in, we're seeing a lot of people taking advantage of it. So there's definitely some hunger to grade at this level, and it's really exciting to see.
Yeah, it's a nice compliment to our economy service level of $50, where those turnaround times are much faster. But if you can wait and time it out, as you mentioned, $18 is a great price. I do want to talk about the on-site pricing for those who want to submit at the show and get it back during the show. And this is a big deal every year in terms of being able to have liquidity opportunities at the show, where you pick up a card, want to get it graded, and maybe even flip it, or just have it graded and take home from there at the show. So there's two options that I think most people are going to gravitate towards at the PSA booth. And the first is our end of show service, which is a $250 rate at a DV under $4,999. So if you submit at least by Saturday at 12 p.m., you will get your card back by the end of the show. So even people coming in later to the show can take advantage of that. If you want your cards back a little bit faster, there is a higher level. That's at $400, and that's end of day. The DV limit is just under 10,000 at that and 9,999. But two options for people who are looking to do grading at the show and get their cards back on site.
I could totally see a lot of people taking advantage of this, especially when you consider, the heat. We'll talk about it a little bit more in depth later, but like the heat that's going to be around, the quarterback market at the show this year. You make a trade for a big, Mahomes rookie. It's pretty cool to have the option to just take it right over to our booth and be able to get it graded before you leave Atlantic City.
Definitely. I mean, you talk about having the immediacy and being ready for the start of the NFL season. That's definitely an option. I would say too, I just wanted to add as a caveat that you do have to be a Collectors Club member to submit at the $250 level. So you can be prepared in advance of the show by going to psacard.com/join to create your membership and also create your submission, because for efficiency reasons, you're not going to want to be using the computer terminals at the show. It's just a slower process. You want to be ready and prepared to stand in the express line, drop off your prepped order, and then make your way back to the main part of the floor. PSA is always kind of tucked away on the side for security reasons, but definitely a good game plan to become prepared.
And go ahead, Jack.
I was just going to say PSA is not tucked away. PSA has an oversized presence, rightfully so, at the National. So
That is true.
You won't need
That
to
is
be
true.
looking for it. It'll be staring you right in the face.
Yeah,
Bat signals up in the air.
There'll be big columns with PSA branding on them, pointing people in the right direction. I will say this is actually the largest booth we've ever had in the history of a National in terms of operational square footage.
Go.
And so, yeah, we're coming with our knives sharpened to just be ready to get through all the submissions and really just deliver a great experience for people who are submitting on site. I did want to say that, like, the PSA booth is all about operations, all about customer service and submitting. We have a second booth that's on the main floor where all the other corporate booths are, like the Tops and Panini and Upper Deck booths. That's the collector's booth. And it's really in the heart of the show.
Yeah. And really quick, before we jump into that, I do want to mention the drop-off orders because that is coming back this year. You talked about being prepared before the show. You can prepare your orders, say, at the economy level, at the $18 National special level. You can prepare them to drop them off in person at the National for us to take back here to Southern California, grade at that service level, and then turn around to you. We are recommending that anyone taking advantage of this to make that lane as expedited as possible, prepare those orders before you show up to the show. Have the cards packaged up, your submission forms completed, and everything. That's going to be a really nice service to have this year.
Yeah, there's full details on psacard.com/national in terms of the instructions for how to submit. So if you go to psacard.com/national, there's going to be basically a checklist of how to package up your submissions. Essentially, if I could boil it down, it's like you're doing everything but putting on the shipping label. You just bring it to the booth, and make sure you keep one printed copy for yourself outside of that submission as well, just for your records, of course.
The idea of going through, $5 card boxes, $10 card boxes, $20 card boxes, finding a few hidden gems on the showroom floor, going back to your hotel, to your Airbnb, to your house, putting together a submission, and then the next day going back to the show and dropping off that submission of all of your $1 box, $5 box finds. Very, very cool to me and exciting for collectors.
Speaking of collectors, the collector's booth.
Yes, sir.
So this is going to be awesome. We're going to have activations there from the entire family of brands. WADA, obviously Collectors, PSA, and Golden. One of the big features, of the big features of this year. I can't wait for this. I really can't wait just to talk about it. But is a pretty unique collection that's going to be on display.
It's the collection. I think anyone who's familiar with the hobby knows there's a couple fabled cards out there that are just the pinnacle of our industry, and this collection contains two of them. One being the 1952 Topps Mickey Mantle number 311 in a PSA 10 condition, one of only three, and the second being T206 Honus Wagner in the PSA 8, which is one of the most fabled cards of all time. Ken Kendrick collection, the Diamondback collection, is going to be featured in a book written by Tom and Ellen Zappola, forward by Joe Orlando. It's got incredible details on the top 50 cards in Ken Kendrick's collection. And if you don't know, Ken Kendrick's the owner of the Arizona Diamondbacks. Parts of this collection have been featured in museums, been featured in traveling roadshows, but very rarely do collectors get to actually get up close and personal and see parts of this collection. And guess what? Parts of the collection are going to be on display at the collector's booth.
And it's going to be absolutely crazy to see like a Mickey Mantle 1952 Topps PSA 10 in person.
Doesn't even seem real.
It feels like out of body. Like the centering is great, the corners are great, everything is crisp. Same. It's just going to be like it's going to be like powerful to see all that together.
You're like, it's going to be obviously in a display case, singular display case, so you can see the card from all angles. But just want to like press my face up against the glass and get as close as possible to be able to see it. I've never held a 52 Topps Mantle in a 10. That's just like the ultimate experience for any collector. Obviously, you're not going to be able to hold it, but to get that close is pretty cool. Take photos with it. Bring the kids. Like I was saying, I'd love to have my kids featured in a photo with some of this hobby royalty. So definitely, yeah. And those are just the top two cards out of the collection that we might want to highlight. There's other incredible cards. 52 Topps Willie Mays in a PSA 10, 55 Sandy Koufax rookie in a PSA 10, the original kind of chase card, the 1933 Gaudi Nap Lajoie and a PSA 9.
Ooh.
I mean, these cards are iconic. These are the cards that collectors just dream about seeing and owning. And they're all going to be in one spot at the show. I have to say, if you're going to come to Atlantic City, you have to make time to come check out this collection. It's insane.
It's going to be, in my opinion, easily. I'll just say it. I think this is going to be like, if you're going out there to, take really cool pictures, create some memories. This is about the most Instagrammable area of the show floor there's going to be.
Yeah. How about 54 Topps Hank Aaron PSA 10, 51 Bowman Mickey Mantle PSA 10. Oh. I could just go on and on. This is just like crazy stuff. But I won't go on and on because we have more to talk about. There's sweepstakes.
We're gonna have.
We'll release more information on those, but you're gonna want to, create basically a collector's account, which is kind of epicenter of our whole grading universe moving forward. And you can learn more at the collector's booth at the show about how to win some pretty amazing cards.
That's an understatement. We're giving away some amazing cards. Stay tuned next week for some more details on that coming out. Let's talk just some general predictions here on the National, because I think we're all excited for, some of the same things, some different things. We're coming back here the first week of August. We're in the office. We're all around the so-called water cooler. Like, what are we talking about?
Talking about football season and how hot some of these football cards were at the National. My bet is like Josh Allen, Justin Herbert, Pat Mahomes, Joe Burrow. All the big names in the hobby right now are just going to be really, really buzzy on the showroom floor. And I think we're going to see a lot of action, a lot of trading, a lot of buying, a lot of selling on the showroom floor. And right when we get back, that August energy of, football season's right around the corner. You're getting your fantasy football crew back together, reactivating the league. Everyone's getting kind of hype. You start seeing the over-unders for the year. I think football is going to be top of mind. And I just have a very good feeling that we're all going to be hyped for this season upon return from the National.
Yeah, obviously, I think trading cards will obviously be the top of mind. And this is a sports collectors convention and trading cards lead the way. But I'm curious to see what non-trading card collectibles get talked about after the show. I bring up WADA as an example. They're releasing a collector's guide for the top sports video games. It's like a checklist of the most iconic video games that you need to have if you're getting serious about the space. It's such an interesting era for a kid that grew up in the 80s where NES came on the scene. I'm really I want to learn more about this. And I think at the National is just a unique opportunity to see video games start to pop in a little bit more as one of those collectible genres that I think naturally transitions and crosses over with trading cards so much, especially with the type of collectors that we see in those groups. The other thing is maybe some more non-sports creeping into the National Sports Collectors Convention. TCG, Pokemon, things like that are just becoming such more integrated into mainstream hobby that I would be shocked if we didn't see some major TCG news come out of the show. I think it's going to be really cool just to see on the fringes what's coming in more of the mainstream.
Yeah, I totally agree, especially on the non-sport side. Like, you're starting to see so much more heat around the quote unquote rookie cards of, famous actors, singers who've been in these products over the years. I feel like just from my collecting at home, I've watched it kind of get supercharged in the last couple of years. So I do expect a little bit more of a significant presence on that front.
I'm also hyped for the non-sport stuff. And to kind of piggyback on what Steve was saying about WADA, last year at the National, I brought a freshly graded copy of one of my Kobe Bryant courtside basketball games, sealed for Nintendo 64. I think it was graded 8 or 8.5. And I brought it along with my Pelican case, essentially just to use as trade bait. 19-year-old Kobe Bryant. It's a beautiful game, iconic game, one of my favorites of all time. And it's essentially his video game rookie card, if you will. And I had so many people come up to me the second I walked into the showroom, like, are you selling that? Like, how much do you want for that? Is this the WADA? Like explain this to me. Like, this looks so cool. Could I hold it? And I think just the way collectors are, the way that we're born to collect and covet things and love things. I think WADA and other things like it are going to be very, very sought after. And I think the feeling of like, oh, this feels so new. I want to learn more about it is going to be gradually replaced with like, let's talk about my video game collection.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's pretty neat.
I love that term, video game rookie card. You said that yesterday, and I was thinking about that for a while. I thought I really like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. As someone who's like interested in specifically collecting sports related video games, I'm also very hyped for what Wada's doing with that sports guide. I mean, from the early John Madden stuff, I've been looking at like Tiger Woods, PGA golf, and then specifically like more modern stuff that you can get like on the discount racks at Target and Walmart for like Mbappe's video game rookie card, for instance, or like special edition MLB The Show with Fernando Tatis on the cover. A lot of these images, they feel very much like sports cards, and there's a definite through line between what Wada's doing in this guide and sports video games and sports cards. So I'm excited to see all that collide at the show.
I'm really interested to see, Steve, you made an interesting point talking about like how people who can acquire cards on the show floor and literally take them right over to PSA to get graded. And I think there's going to be a big market for that this year, maybe even more so than previous years, not only because of the explosion of the hobby, but also, we've used this term before talking about this summer as like a perfect storm, right? You have Prism football just came out, a little over a month ago. Prism basketball just came out last week. Two of the biggest card releases of the year, which typically come out in the fall or winter, came out in the middle of the summer, a few weeks before the National. So, a lot of the big cards from those releases are still raw. So I think you're going to see a lot of, really hot raw card market around new releases at the National. And I think there's a great opportunity if you do acquire something from those to literally just walk it down the aisle and try to go get it graded by the end of the show.
Yeah, it's interesting how things are kind of coming together, right? Because we all kind of, groaned about the delays with manufacturer releases, and we're kind of in no man's land in a certain way when it's not during the in season. But guess what? Things are working out pretty nicely here.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting releases. You talked about Prism football, but there's also Contenders Optic and Donruss Optics releasing in late July on the 22nd,
week before the show.
Yeah, so like all this raw products coming out. The football season is just on the horizon, so there's this window of time to get stuff graded, to have in your hand, to use Jack's term, like you don't want to have FOMO of not getting your stuff in hand before the start of the season, because that's when the sky's the limit. That's when things start to take off. That's when we find out if Zach Wilson's for real, Trevor Lawrence is for real. Is Trey Lance going to, be the guy in San Francisco? There's so much happening that you just want to have all your plans in place for the start of the season, because once it starts, that's when stuff really gets crazy. There's so many cool moments in the NFL season too that we can look forward to kind of prospect against as well. You mentioned earlier today around the water cooler the Herbert Mahomes matchup in week 2. There's just stuff happening that you want to be prepared for.
There's, and that said, I think we're going to see a lot of really cool moments at the National this year with product getting ripped.
Oh yeah,
because all that stuff just came out. I think it's just going to lend itself to something huge happening this year.
I'm going to be at the Collectors booth quite a bit during the show, and I noticed, I was looking at the map, like we're pretty close to Blowout and Steel City and some of the Steel. So I'm like, I might just have to take a casual walk across the aisle and check out what's available. So
research and development.
Exactly.
Well, we talked about it a little bit last week on the show. Steve, you weren't here. What's on your hit list at the show? Because we're collectors, we're excited. Obviously, we're gonna be there working the show, but we're excited to go like pick some stuff up and spend some money and make trades.
Deal.
Yeah.
I mean, I already mentioned Jamar Chase. I think me and everyone else is on the bandwagon at this point. So I expect some pretty fierce competition for Prism stuff that I'm looking for. Obviously, I've got to start on all this color match parallels, but I need to start venturing into some of the newer releases. I want to pick up some optic, different colorways. Unfortunately, he's a redemption in Contenders Optic, so maybe some redemption cards. But I might have to walk over to the Panini booth and talk to my friends over there to get the scoop on what's going on with Jamar and Justin Fields and some of those other guys we're waiting on. How about you, Jack?
Oh man. I think the biggest thing for me is trying to just maneuver some of my Herbert cards. Last National, I picked up a really nice blue wave Justin Herbert PSA 10 in a big trade. And I did it right after I couldn't get a deal done for his blue ice. And to me, the blue wave has always felt incomplete. I need to take that blue wave and turn it into his blue ice somehow. Obviously, throw a few things on top of the blue wave. That's kind of the thing I want to do most. Is walk away with the show with the one card that got away from me last year and just, complete that journey.
Lots of Justin Fields buying for me. I'll put it out there. That's if you've got cool stuff, find me, because you got a sucker right here. No, it's going to be fun, and there's going to be unexpected. We're going to come back and record an episode when we get back from here, and I'm sure we'll bring our cards in that we got at the show, and I'm sure there's going to be some stuff that we didn't even know we were going to be looking for before we went in.
Yeah, and I want to blow Ryan's cover because he's going to be on the floor. He's going to be with Matt, our video guy, and you guys are going to be walking around looking for the coolest, best PSA graded stuff out there. So if anyone's listening, I want you to track down Ryan. He's going to probably be wearing a PSA hat and, looking all wide-eyed and happy about being at the show. So where are you going to be, the PSA booth or Collectors booth?
Probably between both, but we're going to be, our content team will be walking the floor. We're looking for some holy bleep PSA stuff that we can showcase and feature on our social channels to, just really, we want to celebrate PSA's presence in the hobby at large. Obviously, there's going to be some really cool stuff going on at our booths that we want to show off. And I mean, you saw Nat's recap last year of the 100 greatest cards PSA grade. We're going to be doing some spin-offs of that this year as well. So we want to showcase that, but we want to showcase what's already out there and some of the best stuff. So,
so if you've got some heat, you're going to submit it at the PSA booth during the National. There's a good chance it could be featured in some further content if you so choose. But yeah.
The show is transactional, but it's also a museum.
Yeah.
You're seeing cards in person that you might have seen a dozen times on Instagram, on different forums, on Twitter, various scans around the web. But seeing it in person is just entirely different, and it's just really cool to see cards that you're so familiar with, you consider such a grail, but seeing it in person is just a whole different thing. It's really quite cool.
Before we go, can we talk about Comic-Con?
Yeah, let's talk about Comic-Con. Right on the horizon. Dive in.
I'm so pumped for Comic-Con. We have this beautiful new booth being built. The Collectors logo shining above, stunning acrylic case across the back, and it's going to be filled with some big stuff. Most notably, it's going to have the entire 1999 Pokemon base set in a PSA 10, including the forever coveted Charizard Holo. And to me, I'm just excited to see all of those cards together in order. It's like the perfect, some people do sets and they put them in binders and you flip through them, and it's neat to see them in order. But to see a set as monumental as that, as important as that set, to see it all on display in order, I'm really, really hyped for it.
And you said an all in 10?
All PSA 10, wow. Every single card.
How many cards is that set?
102 cards. So yeah, big deal. So that's going to be great. We're going to have some other awesome non-sports cards on display that you definitely want to check out, as well as Funko Pops and WATA video games. Both of those things just display really, really well. And I'm excited for people that already love this stuff to check all this out in person. And for people that are curious about this, but haven't really dove headfirst in, to kind of nudge them to fall deeper into the collecting rabbit hole. There's some really cool stuff.
So this is the first of 2 Comic-Con appearances we'll be making this year. Obviously, the first one in San Diego in mid-July, the second in October in New York. But when I think of Comic-Con, I think of Comic-Con exclusives and free giveaways. And I know you've got some good plans in the mix here, Jack. Can you talk about what collectors might be able to secure as an exclusive at Comic-Con San Diego from PSA and Collectors and WATA?
Yeah, we're so excited about this. And the one big thing we try to push with this is do less, but do better. Stuff that people feel really, really excited about and are really, really proud to own and proud to secure at the show. So rather than just doing a bunch of really, really cheap things and just giving it to anybody, we just did a small amount of really, really great things and giving it to only a handful of people. But what's great about this too is that we're restocking it daily. So we have limited supply each morning through the day, and then if you aren't able to get anything, the next day you can try again. The next day you can try again. So we're gonna have stuff up for grabs every single day. But what is up for grabs? We're talking PSA graded cards, like actual cool, like stuff that you really want in your collection cards. There's a heavy emphasis on like early 90s Impel, specifically DC stuff. So like just stunning like Superman cards, Wonder Woman, The Flash, Aquaman, just really awesome art, very like Silver Age in terms of its style. I think people are going to go crazy for it. Some nice Topps Chrome Star Wars stuff, all high grade, all PSA graded, just really, really fun. So we're working on that. And we have a limited edition t-shirt, which I'm really, really pumped about. We did this beautiful design for it. We have this simple sort of like text graphic on the chest that nods to our flip, and it showcases the display. And we're actually going to be using this exact graphic on most of the t-shirts that we produce as a company going forward, that we use in giveaways and various promotions. And the serial number is going to increase with each and every t-shirt. On the back, we have this beautiful abstract graphic that nods to a very special card that's in the July Comic-Con issue of PSA Magazine. And that very magazine will also be up for grabs for anyone at the show. In addition to that, we're doing this really cool collector's tote bag. Just really well made, beautiful feel. It's sort of like a natural canvas tote bag with the black collector's logo. We spent a lot of time and energy just really perfecting the collector's logo, and it shows because it presents so well on anything. And that will help you sort of carry some of your freebies around efficiently. In the t-shirt, like, the stuff that we're doing is really, really considered. This isn't like your average, like screen printed, like, t-shirt cannon thing that you just like, throw in the back of your dresser. You might wear to bed or something, and then just not really care about the hand feel of these t-shirts is phenomenal. The fit is really good. The quality is excellent. We really tried to make these something that people would covet. And so almost like a really nice like concert tee, like a band tee, something that will age nicely and hopefully become collectible in some circles over time.
It will be. I mean, I've seen the design. It's amazing. It's really cool.
Dang, I haven't. Now I'm dying to.
Oh, I mean, I want to see this at other shows, and hopefully this is the first of many. I think you have some plans for wider distribution of a series of these things. I think they're going to be. I predict seeing them on eBay like later that day. In terms of after people pick them up at the collector's booth at Comic-Con. So exciting stuff, man.
It's a good thing.
There's also a sweepstakes as well. So we have the 3 different brands. We have a 1977 Star Wars Luke Skywalker #1, which is considered the key card from that Star Wars debut set. We have it in a PSA 7 being given away. So that value is over $500. We also have a Funko Pop authenticated and encapsulated by PSA autograph, which is a really nice presentation. It's signed by Ewan McGregor. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then we have a WATA game. It was what was it, Jack? It was a Star Wars?
Yeah, it was the original Star Wars game for Super Nintendo. I believe it's graded an 8.0. I could be mistaken, but it presents really well. And 3 grails from Galaxy's Edge. I'm excited about this. And I think if you love Star Wars, this is a really like awesome way to get one of these big things into your collection. And it's really easy. You just come hang out, you scan your badge. It takes 2 seconds, check out what we're all about, and potentially win one of these big things.
So there'll be more information on the website by the time this episode drops, psacard.com/Comic-Con. You want more information on any of those details we just went over. So, it's show season and
big couple weeks coming up.
No wonder we're so busy. We better wrap this up so we can get back to working and all that stuff, by the way. So
we may sound dead to the world the first week of August when we're back on the show, but I'm looking forward to recapping all of it because, like you said, it's show season and it's a big year for it all around. So really excited.
Yeah, no, this is it. This is the pinnacle of the hobbies. The summer month of July, you got Comic-Con, you got the National. Just get us to August though, for those people working on all this stuff. There's a lot going on.
And then it's football season.
Yes.
All right. Well, for Jack Archer, for Steve Sloan, I'm Ryan Greene. This has been the PSA Pod. We will see you next week, and we will also see you at Comic-Con, at the National. Come find us. We will talk to you again soon.